All right, good morning, good morning. Today we are going to be working on combining a Functor and a Functor rotating into a more elaborate setup. And one of the things to keep in mind when you're doing this is just because it says it's a Functor or a Functor rotating does not tie us to making these things doors. It's you have to kind of think beyond that a little bit, and you'll see that a lot of entities in Source Engine are reused for a wide variety of things, different like targets and path tracks and path corners and things like that. They took existing entities and repurposed them for other things. And we're going to do the exact same thing with this. So let me run this map real quick, and we're going to take a look at what we're going to create today. So you're going to emulate the map that I'm creating right now. Let's kill that sound. All right. So here we go. We've got loading. There we go. All right. So it's ugly, but it's functional. And the thing you're going to be emulating today is something that follows this line of functionality. So what we have here is an imaginary abyss between two platforms, and I've got what appears to be a wall here. Now you can tell because I didn't do any texture alignment that these are all individual pieces, but nonetheless, this is supposed to be an impassable wall, and we're going to pretend that there's some kind of an abyss or something right here. Now, this little piece of wood is a button. When I press it, I get an extended staircase, and I'll go ahead and run up the stairs, and now I have a bridge that goes across. Now here's the trick. These are Functor rotating. These are all just Functors. They all slid. So I'll go ahead and retract it. You can watch it go back. Okay, so it'll go forward and backwards, forwards and backwards. It'll go either direction. Now, when you create yours, you can take some creative liberties on this. Your platforms can, these guys here can rotate from the side. They can rotate from the bottom. You can have one come down and one come up. You could have them rotate out from the side of the platform. You could have them down here and just rotate upward into there. It doesn't really matter. Your choice. Same thing with these. I want the staircase to appear, but there's a lot of different options you can do to it to have the steps extend for the player to use them. Now, I'm not going to show you everything I did. I'm just going to show you a few key points to this. So first off, this is a button. All right, so if you look back, and I think it's lesson 20 is where we did switched lights, and that's the lesson on how to create a button. So a button has an output. So this little piece of wood right here is a func button, and it has an output. I also have a second output to close the stairs, but if for the purpose of this, if you can get it to extend, I'd be happy. If you look at the difference between the two, on in is when I press the button and it opens the stairs, because remember these are doors, right? So they have a command called open because they think they're doors. And then when I pop the button out, which would be pressing it a second time, remember buttons have two positions. They have an in position or an out position. And so if I press it a second time, the button's going to pop out, and I'm simply going to close whatever this object is right here. So very simple button. Nothing crazy about the button. I toggle it, don't move, use activates. These are all standard things we've done on a button. Now, do notice here where it says target entities named, stair, and it's bold. When you see a name of an entity that's bold, what that means is that there's multiple entities being affected because they have the same name. So what I did is, so that I didn't have to make 15 different outputs, I just simply named every single one of these the same. They're all named stair. And if you go up here, its name is stair. So I could have named it anything, but I named them all the same name. So when I press this one button right here, it activates every single one of these guys right here. All right. Now, these are Functor rotate. So I want your bridge elements that you create, I want them to rotate. The step elements, these are, no, that one's not actually, this one doesn't move, so it's not a door. This one, Functor, these are linear, right? Remember the difference between them. Functor has linear movement, Functor rotate has a rotational movement. So all my steps are going to be Functors. Now, the thing to consider about them, how did I get them to extend all the way out there? Because we know by default that this guy right here, if I open him, it's going to take this edge and slide it over to this position right here. That's the default behavior of a Functor. It will always move whatever its width is along the path of movement. So if it's 16 inches, which is the case here, that step is just going to slide 16 inches forward. So let's look at the next step down. Okay, so we know this one doesn't move. It's just a func detail. It could be just a brush if you want to leave it as a brush. This one doesn't move. This one does default movement. It moves from here to here. So that creates the step. Now if we go to the third one down, if we click on it, what you're going to notice is this setting right here called lip. And if you think back to our original lesson on Functor, I told you that the lip allows us to manipulate how far the door can move. Like if we needed to leave a little bit of the door sticking out, or we wanted the door to move a little bit further, we would adjust it through the lip setting. So a positive number means it doesn't move its full path. If you were making a door that slid into a wall and you wanted 2 inches to stick out from the wall, you would have a lip of +2. That means the door will travel all but 2 inches. It will stop 2 inches short of its full travel. A negative number means that the Functor is going to travel beyond its original position where it's supposed to stop. So if we look at the door above, this one has a lip of 0. So this step right here is going to slide this edge all the way to here. Okay? That's its default. That's what it's supposed to do. It takes this edge and it's going to slide it to here. These steps, I made them 16 inches. So this one, I have the lip set at -16. So what that means is this guy is going to move his default amount, then another, talking like Joe Biden there, another 16 inches. Now, if you're following the logic here, when I click on this one, the lip should be even bigger. And there it is, 32. So it's going to travel its original 16 plus 16 plus 16 more. And then you can imagine if I click the next one, it should be 16 plus 32. And it is. It's 48. So it's going to get -48. So it's going to travel beyond its default an additional 48 inches. And if we go down the doors, you're going to see the same thing all throughout the rest of the doors. So your assignment today is to create an emulated map that looks just like mine, or similar to mine. I want to see a creative expanding staircase. So it has to have stairs that extend, and it has to have some form of bridge. Now, how you implement that artistically is up to you. But I want to see you combine 3 things that we've learned: a button, sliding doors, and rotating doors, to create some kind of an interesting architectural piece. Whether you've got rotating pieces, we've got sliding pieces, we've got buttons. I'd like yours to be pretty, not so Spartan as mine. But if you end up with this, that's totally fine. If you're using all just placeholder textures, but functionally you've got something really awesome. All right, so that is your assignment today. You've got a button. You're going to make a sliding staircase. You don't have to count my steps. I don't know how many I have here, But, you know, if you do 6 or 8 steps, I'm fine with that. Remember our step height, okay? The steps, 8 units, 8 inches tall is the height of the steps. The width of the steps can vary a little bit. I used 16, 12 also works good. But the height of the steps is very important for the character to walk up them. So we call it the rise. So the rise of your steps is 8 inches. The depth, or what we call the run, this part here is the run. You know, 12, 16 should be okay. But this rise right here should be 8. Same thing with the bridge. I don't really care about it. I just do want to see 2 pieces. I don't want a single platform bridge. I want to see 2 pieces, because that's going to force you to implement a one-way funk rotating door, and you're also going to have to reverse it to get the opposite side. So you're going to have the 2 doors that come, or the 2 funk door rotatings that come together to make the bridge, but they're going to have to be opposite of each other. So that's going to prove to me that you understand how to use the one-way setting and also the reverse direction setting. All right? So I'd like a video of this. If you can't get a video on your phone or your device for some reason, then a plethora of screenshots that show me how the steps work, how the rotators work, and how the button works.